Hello everyone, welcome to Legal Darshan. In today's video, we are going to cover culpable homicide and murder under Indian Penal Code 1860. Culpable homicide and murder are the criminal offences against public at large, and they are some kind of problems we suffer in our society on a regular basis. So, if you have your Bear Acts with you, please have a hold of them, and also you can search the relevant sections in Google, as I will be telling in my video, to get a deeper insight of this video. So, in section 299, we talk about culpable homicide. Section 300 talks about murder. Section 300 talks about transfer of malice. Section 302 talks about the punishment in case a person is convicted for murder, while section 304 talks about the punishment for culpable homicide. In this video, we will be seeing how culpable homicide is different to murder, what are the cases in which culpable homicide is taken as murder and culpable homicide is not amounting to murder. So, before we proceed, it is important for all of us to know that all of the murders are culpable homicides, but all culpable homicides are not murders. So, whenever a death happens, section 299 is immediately attracted. If it further results into murder, if the prosecution, if the court finds out that the culpable homicide is amounting to murder, then the provisions of section 300 and section 302 will apply. And if the culpable homicide is not amounting to murder, the convict will be punished accordingly to the provisions of section 299 and 304. So section 304 talks about punishment of culpable homicide, whereas 304A talks about death due to rash and negligent acts. As I have already told you, all murders are culpable homicide, but all culpable homicide are not murders. So culpable homicide are like the genus, whereas murder is one of its species. Okay, so let's begin with section 299, culpable homicide. So it says whoever causes, number first, death by doing an act with the intention of causing death. The first criteria here is there should be intention of causing death, or with the intention of causing such bodily injury as is likely to cause death, causing some kind of injury or having an intention of causing such kind of injury which is likely to cause death, or with the knowledge. So either you are having the intention, and the third point here says, or with the knowledge that he is likely by such act to cause death, commits the offense of culpable homicide. So in according to section 299, whenever a person is having an intention to cause death of someone, to cause such effective injuries that the other person is going to die, or even if he is having knowledge that the person is going to die by his act, is said to commit the offense of culpable homicide. Now what we have to see is under what circumstances does the culpable homicide will amount to murder, and under what circumstances it will remain the culpable homicide. So what I can say here is culpable homicide is a more general definition which gets attracted every time a death is caused. Now moving forward to section 300 and its language in the Bear Act of Indian Penal Code, it says except in the cases hereinafter accepted, culpable homicide is murder, meaning all the exceptions that are given in section 300, if the death is caused by the provisions mentioned in section 300, it will amount to murder. So what are those provisions? Culpable homicide is murder if the act by which the death is caused is done with the intention of causing death. The firstly clause here says that there should be an intention to cause death. Secondly, if it is done with the intention of causing such bodily injury as the offender knows to be likely to cause the death of the person to whom the harm is caused. Thirdly, if it is done with the intention of causing bodily injury to any person and the bodily injury intended to be inflicted is sufficient in the ordinary course of nature to cause death. Now, what is the difference between secondly and thirdly? It is a difference of few words. In thirdly, it says that the injury inflicted is sufficient to cause death. Now we will see the nature of the weapon used, the nature how the blows are made to the victim, how he died, so that we can make a person an accused fall under the ambit of section 300. Fourthly, the fourthly clause says, if the person committing the act knows that it is so imminently dangerous that it must in all probability cause death or such bodily injury as is likely to cause death and commits such act without any excuse for incurring the risk of causing death or such injury as aforesaid. So here also, if we summarize the murder section, it talks about three things. Number first, intention to cause death. Number second, intention to give such a bodily injury which is sufficient to cause death in its ordinary course, and the knowledge that the act which the person, the accused, is doing is imminently dangerous to cause the death. So the question arises, now what will be the difference between culpable homicide and murder in this scenario, because the same keywords are used in the language of culpable homicide as well. So as I already talked about, the culpable homicide being a general section and murder being a species belonging to the genus of culpable homicide, the criteria are same, but there is a degree of the nature of injury, degree of how probable it was to cause death, and the degree of danger to a life. All these measures together form the difference between culpable homicide and murder. We are going to talk about some examples to make a clear demarcation between culpable homicide and murder. So the very first case I'm going to talk about is Pilani Gondan versus Emperor. So in this case, what happened was, accused hit his wife with a weapon, not a weapon exactly, a plowshare, by which she went into the state of unconsciousness. So the accused thought that she was dead, and to erase the evidences, he hanged her with the rope so as to create a false evidence. Now his intention while hitting his wife with a plowshare was only to make an injury to her, but didn't cause any death, but not to cause any death. So the court in this case held that it was neither a matter of culpable homicide nor a matter of murder, because actually the death was caused by by not his blow but by the hanging of rope which he did to erase the evidence. So his intention was only clear that it was a matter of hurt. He caused the hurt. His intention was to cause hurt, not the death. But since he rendered her to be unconscious after the blow, he thought of her to be dead and tried to erase the evidence. So he was convicted for grievous hurt for the assault on his wife. Now we move to the exceptions of murder. So what are the exceptions of murder? Number first, it's when culpable homicide is not murder, is when something is done in grave and sudden provocation. So culpable homicide is not murder if the offender has been deprived of the power of self-control by grave and sudden provocation, and he causes the death of the person who gave him death and sudden provocation. So when such a situation occurs, the accused is liable for culpable homicide not amounting to murder. But here are certain provisions also to support this section. There are certain exceptions. So the first thing is that the provocation is not provoked, like the offender is not the first one to provoke the provocation. Like suppose A and B are fighting. A says something bad to B and B abuses him in return, and So A loses his temper and hit him. Now he cannot take the plea of grave and sudden provocation if B dies, because it was the A who was provocating B at first. The another exception is private defense. Suppose a person is protecting himself from private defense using his right of private defense, and the other person hit him. He cannot take the plea of grave and sudden provocation. So anything that is done, and another proviso is anything that is done by a law officer, by a public officer which is at his duty, the excuse of provocation is not given by anything done in obedience to the law. So when the provocation is given, whether it is grave and sudden enough to prevent the offense of murder is a matter of fact of question. The another exception here is culpable homicide will not amount to murder if it is done in the right of private defense. Not like if there is some theft going on and you kill the robber, it will not amount to culpable homicide, not amounting to that. It will be considered as a murder, because theft is not a serious obviously a serious offense, but it is not such grave offense that you kill a person. Similarly, if there is a rape, someone is trying to rape the victim, she can, if she murders, if she kills the accused person, then she has a right to claim her right of private defense. Exception 3 talks about culpable homicide is not murder if the offender is doing the act being a public servant or aiding a public service for public justice. Exception 4, there is a slight difference between exception 1 and exception 4 here, which we need to keep in our mind. What is it is culpable homicide is not murder if it is committed without premeditation, in a sudden fight, in the heat of passion, upon a sudden quarrel, and without the offender having taken undue advantage or acted in a cruel or unusual manner. So in the first exception we talked about grave and sudden provocation, and in fourth exception we are talking about sudden heat of passion. So here both of them are quarreling at equal spirits, and in that scenario the first person kills another person. It was due to heat of passion. There was no premeditation that he was going to kill the other person, but it happened in just a event of fights or event of hits and blows. Whereas in the first exception, which is grave and sudden provocation, it is unilateral, that only one person is provocating other, and other one, just because of grave and sudden provocation, is causing harm or causing death to another. Now the fifth exception here is culpable homicide is not murder when the person whose death is caused is above the age of 18 years, he suffers death or take the risk of death with his own consent. So A is a person of 20 years, he is dying on his own consent, he is suffering the death on his own, then it will not make anyone liable for murder, but culpable homicide. So here is a famous case of KM Nanavati versus state of Maharashtra. In this case, what happened was KM Nanavati was a Navy officer. His wife had extramarital affairs with one of the acquaintance. So when Nanavati came to know about it, he went to talk to that acquaintance whether he is there to accept his wife as a lover or something, to which the acquaintance replied with some harsh words which Nanavati could not take. So KM Nanavati sent his wife and children to a movie, and then after 2 hours he went and issued a pistol, and then he went and shot the acquaintance. So the court in this case looked into the matter. KM Nanavati took the plea of grave and sudden provocation, but here the court is saying that whenever you are taking any of the exceptions to murder, it should be very eminent that the murder or the killing should not be premeditated. Since KM Nanavati sent his children and wife to some movie or some outing and issued a pistol, and then after 2-3 hours of the harsh wordings between KM Nanavati and the acquaintance, he shot him, it clearly signifies that there was an evidence of premeditation, and hence K.M. Nanavati must be liable for murder under section 300. Now coming back to difference between culpable homicide and murder, after getting to know the exceptions, there are two more cases which I would like to cite here. One is Gyarsi Bai versus State, and another one is Emperor versus Dhirajia. So these, the facts of these cases are very similar but yet very different. So what happened in this case was, one was awarded culpable homicide while other was, while one was seen that it was not a murder, and in other case it was held to be a murder. So what happened in Emperor versus Dhirajia was, there was a wife, she was running with her child to protect herself from the cruelty of her husband. She was running on the tracks, and to save herself from the from her husband chasing her, she jumped into the well along with her child. So the child died, and somehow Mount Dhirajia survived. When she was brought before the court, it was held, she was charged for section 300 murder. It was held by the court that it was not murder, because she obviously had the knowledge that throwing her child and herself in the well will cause death, but she was not in a state of mind to decide it. She could not think of any way of incurring the risk of her husband, who was following her for cruelty, for hitting her, and to escape from her husband who was chasing her. She did that step in partial absentness of her mind, and thus the court held that she was not liable for murder, but she should be convicted under section 304 as a punishment of culpable homicide, because she had the knowledge of what she is doing, and also under section 309, which states the punishment for suicide, attempt to suicide. In the latter case, which is Gyarsi Bai versus State, what happened was that the accused was tired of getting bitten by her in-laws and her husband. So to escape her problems, she took her child and jumped into the well. There was no chasing. So in this case, the court held that the case fall under the ambit of section 300 clause 4th, where it is mentioned that there is a knowledge of imminent danger and there is no excuse to incur the risk due to which the death is being caused. So there was no chasing, no one was chasing her, and she herself voluntarily expelled herself and her children to death. Therefore she was convicted for murder. So these are few cases which I think would be sufficient enough to distinguish between when a matter will fall under the ambit of section 300 and when it will fall under the ambit of section 299. Another such example which my teacher quoted while teaching these chapters to us, she told us that there is a parent. I'm quoting the same example because it made me have a clear understanding of the difference between culpable homicide and murder related to the risk, the degrees of risk. So what happened in that example was, there is a parent, there is a very sick child, and the child is not getting any recovery even after medical implementations. The parents visit to some saint who advises them to dip their child in the lake. Okay, so now there are two possibilities, there are two scenarios we are taking. There is a specific lake, and that lake has two crocodiles, and the parent went there and dipped their children in the lake, and unfortunately one of the crocodile intakes the children, and the child dies. Now this is the one scenario. Another scenario is the same lake having 10 crocodiles, and parents dipping their child in the water and crocodile intaking the children. So in the first case, the probability that child would be intaken by the crocodile was very less, because since there were only two crocodiles. But when the crocodiles were 10, there was a high risk, a imminent knowledge of the danger. So when there were 10 crocodiles, it may fall under the ambit of murder, section 300. But whereas in the section 299, it will be applying to the case where there were only two crocodiles. Why? Because no parent intend to kill their child, number first, and secondly, there was no other option to save their child suffering from such a grievous disorder or illness. So this is the difference. This is an example which can help you understand the difference between culpable homicide and murder, I hope. Another thing we are going to talk about is the punishment. Why a lot of matters that relates murder, their lawyer try to bring the matter under culpable homicide. Why? Because the punishment for murder is fine. Obviously fine is the punishment in both the murder and culpable homicide, but the imprisonment in culpable homicide is of 10 years, while in that of the murder it is minimum the life conviction, the life imprisonment, or if the case is so rarest of the rare, there is a lot of cruelty seen on the part of the accused, death penalty is rewarded. Earlier to the case of Bachchan Singh versus State of Punjab, death penalty used to be a regular punishment for murder, but after the case of Bachchan Singh, it became the rarest of the rare penalty, and life imprisonment became the usual penalty for murder. So both the offences are cognizable, non-bailable, non-compoundable, and triable by session courts. So now there is a concept, section 301 and section 304A we are going to talk about. Section 304A talks about death due to rash and negligent act. So in this section we talk about whenever any death is caused by a rash or negligent act, it does not amount to culpable homicide, and it is punished with imprisonment of 2 years or with fine or with both. So this kind of offence is cognizable and bailable and triable by the magistrate of first class. Now, going a bit deeper in this section, there is a case of Cherupin Gregory versus State of Bihar. So in this case, the appellant was charged with an offence under section 304A for causing death of a person by making him in contact with electrically charged copper wire which he had fixed up at the back of his house with a view to prevent the entry of intruders into his washroom. It was held that the voltage of the current passing through the naked wire was high enough to be lethal. Therefore, the death fell under the provision of section 304A by rash and negligent act. Another one in this section 304B talks about the dowry death, where a woman dies out of burning or such harms within 7 years of her marriage, and it is shown that soon before her death she was subjected to violent cruelty or harassment by her husband or any relative from her husband's side, amount to dowry death, and the convict shall be punished with the imprisonment of a term not less than 7 years, and it can also result in imprisonment for life depending on the circumstances of the case. But one thing we have to discuss here is what happens when a person who is targeting the death of another person but kills some another person. Like in easy words, what happens if A wants to kill B, but somehow the consequences does not turn in his favor and he kills C, or he shot down C. What happens in that case? In that case, section 301 comes into this picture. Section 301 talks about transfer of malice. Transfer of malice says that if a person by doing anything which he intends or knows to be likely to cause death commits culpable homicide by causing the death of any person whose death he neither intends nor knows himself to be likely to cause. The culpable homicide committed by the offender is of description of which it would have been if he had caused the death of person whose death he intended or knew himself to likely to cause. So what happens is, if A wants to kill B but he eventually kills C in the process, it becomes transfer of malice and A will be taken in conviction for culpable homicide because the death has been caused. the action has been done, whether it is of B or C, whether he didn't knew, whether he didn't intend, but it has been done. So he will be prosecuted for culpable homicide and not murder under section 301. So this was all for today's video. I hope you understood the concept. If you have any queries, any doubts, any suggestions, or any correction in this lecture if you want me to make, please feel free to leave us an email at legaldarshana@gmail.com, and also you can comment down in the comment box below. Thank you for watching this video. Please like, share and subscribe.